One of the most recognizable images on the internet is the default Windows XP wallpaper called Bliss. This classic photo of a beautiful, vibrant green hill with a bright blue sky can easily bring feelings of nostalgia, not only because Windows XP quite literally came out over 20 years ago, but just viewing the image for what it is, it almost feels dreamlike. People could only dream of being in such a peaceful and ideal environment, and we're pretty lucky that we get to know the exact location of this surprisingly liminal photo. The wallpaper we all know as Bliss was taken by a photographer named Charles O'Rear. He had been leaving his house in St. Helena, California, and was on his way to visit his girlfriend, whom he later married. While driving through the Napa Valley, something caught his eye. Charles would pull over on the side of the road and unknowingly took one of the most classic and beloved images in modern time. The exact location for where Charles pulled over and snapped the photograph is off of Highway 12 in Sonoma, California. Many people visit this location every year, and it's definitely somewhere I plan on visiting in the future. Almost like I'll visit this place on a Liminal-Space road trip.
Tune in next week for the essential guide for a Liminal-Space road trip.
Bliss isn't the only Windows XP wallpaper that gives you that liminal space type of feeling. Wallpapers such as Autumn, Azul, Red Moon Desert, and many others just invoke a feeling within me that I can't truly describe. In one of the most popular liminal space compilations on YouTube, a video called Strangely Familiar Places with Unnerving Music has this thumbnail. This video is 3 years old at the time of me making this video, and it actually features some of the most iconic liminal space images of all time. This unsettling picture of a White House in the dead of night is the infamous Monroe House in Hartford City, Indiana. This house is infamous because of its everlasting paranormal history. The TV show Paranormal Lockdown gave this house a lot of publicity whenever they covered it in a season 2 episode. And I'm sorry, but I can't take these types of shows seriously.
He's lying.
I need to sub out. Like, I can't breathe in that. I cannot
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
I keep getting choked.
I was working on the house, and it got dark,
What happened?
and I thought I had seen the shadow come in,
He's taking too much Benadryl.
and that really messed with me.
But they did find some sort of human bones in the basement of the Monroe House, which makes it even creepier than it already is. While I was browsing the Liminal-Space subreddit, I came across this post. The skyline of Doha, Qatar doesn't feel real. I stared at the image for quite a while and debated with myself whether this was a real picture or not. There's virtually no shadows in this picture, and the futuristic skyline seems too squeaky clean and almost looks flat. Why does this look so perfect and simple? A quick way for me to find out if this Redditor was telling the truth or not is for me to simply check the skyline from other people's perspectives, as it just seemed too fascinating for this to be a real image. Well, it's real. You can visit Hotel Park in Doha, Qatar to get this amazing view for yourself. It really gives off that Fudiger Arrow type of look and feeling, if you know what I mean. A more obscure and unknown entry on the list is this one right here. At some point in the last couple of months, I stumbled onto a website called Quotev and found this very liminal photo. It seems to be the lobby of a very vibrant and experimental building from the mid-1900s. As most of you would expect, I know little to nothing about the architectures of buildings, but I'm going to give it a fair shot and say that this gives off a 70s, 80s sort of interior aesthetic. Aside from this picture being on the website, I'm left with no additional information of where this location might be, along with where the image was ever taken from. After doing a quick Google reverse image search, I found an alternative version of the picture we are talking about. Instead of a desolate, colorful lobby of a big building, I was then met with virtually the same place, but with lots of people. Thankfully, the person who uploaded this different design provided a location in the Pinterest description: Ottawa's Charlebois High School. After Googling Charlebois High School, I came across a website that gave a brief description of the high school. The description reads as follows. Currently St. Patrick High School, Charlebois was the first French-speaking high school for 1,500 students in the Ottawa Board of Education. An informal survey was conducted with students to obtain opinions on what was lacking in their current educational environment. As a response, the Central Mall was designed to offer a large, colorful meeting for the students to collect between classes and assemble for activities such as dances. Something you may notice is that this high school is no longer known as Charlebois High School, but rather St. Patrick's High School. This website also provided an address of the school, and this is what the inside looks like nowadays. I wish they kept the colorful look, as it was very unique, but to each their own. Before I begin with this entry, I thought I'd provide a little bit of context. This video you're watching right now is technically the third part in my Finding Liminal Spaces series. The video before this, Finding Locations of Popular Liminal Spaces Part 2, has since been deleted by YouTube for seemingly no reason. I could make a big long rant about it, but this would be rather boring, but the sad point I'm trying to make is that the Part 2 of this series is gone and seemingly lost forever. You can check out my Twitter at JadenSalads to like and retweet my pinned tweet about the entire situation. If you are a big YouTuber or someone with a big following, I just ask that you can help me in any way you can and just call out YouTube for deleting one of my most successful videos for no proper reason. Anyway, rant over, check out the Twitter if you want to see the nitty gritty. We're going to be talking about this liminal space. In the intro of my last liminal space video, I provided this image on screen and didn't think much of it. In the comment section of my now deleted video, someone actually recognized the picture and said it was taken in the gymnasium of the Beaumont School in Cleveland, Ohio. To anyone who's about to make an Only in Ohio joke, please no clip to the backrooms and don't come back. Doing a quick Google search of Beaumont School, Cleveland Heights Gym, you will quickly notice that the relatively unknown liminal space is identical to the photos I'm showing you now. In my first Liminal Spaces video, a person from my Discord server called Polly had sent me a variety of liminal spaces with the locations that they found. One of these places was from the High Museum of Art in Atlanta, Georgia. If this doesn't sound familiar, you may recognize this place from the images I'm now showing. These pictures are your standard liminal space and kind of give me the same vibe as the Chicago Children's Museum liminal space picture. Level 5 of the Backrooms is known as the Terror Hotel. The concept of Level 5 in the Backrooms lore is that this is a hotel that infinitely expands, well, forever. If you want to know about the individual levels and lore of the Backrooms, then I'd suggest watching the YouTuber Brugly, because that's sort of his thing. I'll put him in the description, why not? Anyway, the most associated picture with Level 5 of the Backrooms is this right here, a photo that was taken in the lobby of the Serrano Hotel. The Serrano Hotel is located in San Francisco, California. I personally don't find anything too unsettling or familiar about this entry in particular, but it is a popular liminal space, so feel free to drop how this one makes you feel in the comments. This unsettling room, where you seem to be inside of a large-scale mouth, is pretty interesting to look at. Not only is the concept of being inside a giant mouth weird, but the actual room itself has its own creepy traits. The photo's quality is already pretty low, and it doesn't help anything by having bad lighting along with it. I'm pretty positive that this could be some nightmare fuel for a lot of people, some real fever dream type of imagery. To start off with the search of this place, I started by reverse searching the picture. One of the first results led me to the Facebook page of a dentist office in Athens, Greece. By scrolling down to a post they made in March of 2017, you can see that they updated their Facebook banner to the liminal space photo we are looking for. This doesn't automatically mean that this dentist office is the place where this photo was taken though, so I started to dig just a little deeper. By looking up the squiggly language of the dentist office in Greece, I looked through the dentist Google images to possibly find a different angle of the giant mouth. Unfortunately, I was only met with a single 1-star review of the place and 0 mouth room images. The dentist's office in Athens, Greece couldn't be our match, but after returning to the reverse search image results, I found this little picture that looked pretty similar to the giant mouth. I then opened this picture in a new tab, reverse searched this one, and then found this result. I clicked on the picture and it took me to the 2 Weeks in Costa Rica website. I scrolled down for a little bit and then came across this. The giant mouth on this website is apparently located at the National Children's Museum in Costa Rica. Just to make sure that the liminal space picture and the place at the Children's Museum are the same, here's the similarities that I've noticed. The floor in both photos are the exact same, along with the fact that there's a door with the top and bottom teeth on it. The problem here is that there are some differences you may have already noticed. The National Children's Museum does not have the little pictures on the wall like the ones shown in the liminal space. I also noticed that the rooms outside of the doors pictures look pretty different. The liminal space image shows whatever this is, while a picture from 4 months ago shows this outside of the door. My consensus is that this liminal space photo was likely taken at the National Children's Museum in Costa Rica. There's too many obscure similarities between both images I've shown, and it's easy to realize that places change over time. The Stanley Hotel is most known and recognized for being the hotel featured in The Shining.
Here's Johnny!
The Shining is one of the most classic and iconic horror films of all time, and with a director as talented as Stanley Kubrick, it's no surprise that there's some great cinematography showcased throughout the film. While there's no way Stanley Kubrick knew what a liminal space was when filming the movie in the late 1970s, he did a great job at capturing some pretty liminal spaces in many parts of the film. Even in today's time, this place is still around, and many people manage to find their own liminal spaces in the hotel. I think hotels are kind of a cheat code for liminal space photography, as you can probably find anything quote-unquote liminal in almost any hotel. Many liminal space images originate from the 1998 movie called The Truman Show. While there's some more subtle pictures that'll seem familiar or make you feel nostalgia, nothing quite does it like this shot right here. It's hard to believe that this isn't a modern-day render of what we all think of as a liminal space. There's so many of those 3D edited pictures of liminal spaces nowadays, and this could easily pass as one of those made by a dreamcore type of artist. Moving forward, I had never watched The Truman Show, so I watched it a couple of hours ago, and I'd highly recommend it as it has a pretty fascinating concept and it's just a good movie all around.
Back up, back up! Leak at the plant. They had to shut her down.
Is there any way around?
Whole area is being evacuated.
Is there anything I can do?
No, ma'am. Thank you for your help. You're welcome, Truman.
I would feel like a pretty big jerk if I spoiled the movie and provided context for this image, but just know that this comes from The Truman Show.
Mini golf image. One of the most popular liminal space images is of what seems to be an abandoned mini golf course. The environment in this picture is very dark and pretty unsettling. Along with this, the camera that took this photograph is very grainy and not that high of quality, which can add the feeling of nostalgia. Anyway, I found the location of this liminal space by looking up abandoned miniature golf courses on Google Images. Surprisingly enough, it didn't take long until I found the image that was very similar to the iconic liminal space photo. After clicking on this particular picture from Google Images, it took me to a website called acoupleofputts.com. This website would feature many different angles of a glow-in-the-dark mini golf course, and I quickly realized that this was my match. The classic liminal space picture was taken near the food court at the Burnsville Center Mall in Minnesota. Unfortunately, you can no longer visit the mini golf course as it shut down sometime in 2020. The infamous Never Gonna Give You Up music video by Rick Astley is something we're all too familiar with. But something we probably didn't realize is how liminal the bridge can be. When there's nobody to be seen around it, when singing underneath the bridge, everybody would expect Rick Astley singing his song. But when he's suddenly out of the frame, we're left with a very surreal setting. This place feels like it can't exist in the modern world, but rather a place that's forever stuck in time. Fortunately, for the search of this image, the filming location for Never Gonna Give You Up are pretty easy to find. You can visit 171 Preston Road in London, England, to not only witness an important piece of meme culture, but also a surprisingly liminal space. Super Mario 64. The classic video game Super Mario 64 is actually more liminal than you may remember. There's so many different spots and places in the game that invoke feeling of nostalgia and familiarity. Due to the quality and old school 3D graphics of the game, a lot of the places within the game look very liminal. Anyway, the image for this entry is this one right here. And there's many similar pictures that originate from Super Mario 64. But there is one problem though. I did lots of searching for how to find this room in Super Mario 64, but I'm also positive that this isn't actually in the game. Chances are that someone made this room themselves, but it doesn't take away the liminal feeling at all. For a more in-depth analysis on the liminality in Super Mario 64, I heavily recommend watching Kylie's video called "Every Copy of Super Mario 64 is Liminal." Backrooms Level 11. In the Backrooms lore, Level 11 is called the Concrete Jungle and consists of desolate cityscapes that never end. The most commonly associated image for this level of the Backrooms is this one right here. While it's not the most convincing example of a liminal space, it does have a weird dreamlike feeling accompanied with it. Inside the picture, you can see a street sign that says Hope. So after quite a bit of digging on Google Street View, I found Hope Street in Los Angeles, California. Ladies and gentlemen,
we got him.
If you wanted to stand in this exact spot in real life, the address you'd go to is 698 Wolfshrine Boulevard in Los Angeles, California.
This segment is for the liminal spaces that people from my Discord server have found. Be sure to join the Discord server in the description or the pinned comment. You may just end up in the next liminal space video. I also talked to a lot of the people in the chat there and plan on doing giveaways and all of that good stuff. For the first entry in this part of the video, we have this popular image. The guy who sent me this picture is actually from Iran, the same country that these buildings are located. I thought it was pretty interesting, and here's what he had to say about it, and I'm going to apologize in advance for his mic quality.
This surreal picture of these buildings that look the exact same as each other was taken from a high place in a small city named Paradis. The point of these buildings existing all around the city is to make homes and apartments more affordable for everyone in the country, as these apartments are usually a lot cheaper than regular houses, although due to inflations and sanctions in the country, these houses are still not affordable for a lot of people.
So yeah, these apartments look very desolate and quite North Korean if you know what I mean, but they give a cheap place for people to live. The next liminal findings from someone in my Discord is from someone called Mackerel. He sent me a YouTube video that features many bouncy house liminal spaces and said that many of those pictures were actually taken at an Irish play place called Coco's. But before all of you Conor McGregor fans go to a children's bouncy house play place, Mackerel told me that it has since shut down, so F's in the chat. A Discord user called Kyle sent me this picture and said that it was taken at the Hollywood Connection Family Fun Center in Columbus, Georgia. Along with this, he sent many more pictures of the fun center, and it honestly looks like a pretty fun place. The YouTuber called Yiga's Memes had sent me this cozy image of some houses on a snowy mountain. These sets of houses are located in Svalbard, Norway. I received an email from somebody called The Known Spy that claimed to see the Backrooms Level 94 houses in real life. This person claimed to have been riding the bus and saw some houses that closely resembled the one seen in the Backrooms Level 94 pictures. Personally, I think it's a match, but they didn't want to give up their location and just wanted to stay anonymous. I think somebody should show this part of the video to Gabrielle Traversat, the original artist of these types of pictures, and let her answer if these are the correct houses that she took inspiration from. Lastly, I'm going to do a quick slideshow of liminal spaces from the Liminal Spaces channel in my Discord server. Thank you to these wonderful people who have made some truly amazing artwork of my channel character. To think I even have like quote-unquote fan art is so freaking cool to me. And not to mention, shout out to Morbidforfun, the guy who is also a part of this video. I'm actually featured in this video of his. I have a little cameo, so be sure to check it out and all of his other videos. He's a cool guy. The last individual shout out is to Mustlord, the ambient musician who provides a lot of the background music in my videos. All of the songs I used in this video are always in the description, along with his individual tracks. Go support him on his Bandcamp. It's some pretty good stuff. As always, I'd like to give a big thanks and shout out to my Patreon members, Bella M, Damian, 3LLMO, Jera, Sinful, Josh S, Josh Wynn, Lexi Bunny, Master Shake, Meeko, Misazaki, Cher, and the Good Bunch. Thank you everybody for watching the channel. I'll see you guys soon.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you're a fan of liminal spaces and unsettling places that feel rather familiar, then say no more. Tune in next week for the essential guide for a liminal space road trip. You will travel to many of the most popular liminal spaces in real life, from the United States all the way to Europe and the Middle East. Travelers will not be disappointed. Stay tuned to the Jade and Salads channel, and we'll see you next week.